Hello, everybody. I'm Ione Butler, and I'm the founder of Uplifting Content. And today, I'm very excited to be talking to Joshua Dawson. Joshua, hi. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I recently was introduced to you about a week ago, and I'm just so inspired by everything that you're doing. So I would love for you to take a minute to sort of explain who you are and what you do.
Sure. Well, when you first met me, you thought that I sounded like Tony Robbins. I'm not Tony Robbins. I just want everyone to know that.
Yes, he's got this deep, sexy voice. I totally thought you were Tony Robbins on the phone. It kind of startled me a little bit. And actually, I was gonna introduce him as Tony Robbins, so all the podcast listeners would think that was the case. But anyway, sorry.
But we do try to inspire people like Tony Robbins, and it all started with actually it was a tragedy. My father passed with cancer when he was only 53 years old, and I wanted to give back or kind of do something in his memory. So I started to dress up like this I had this inspiration that I said to my partner Ingrid. I said I was going to dress up as a blue genie and travel around and grant wishes for people that had cancer around the world. And she thought it was a great idea. She thought it was a little bit crazy, but thought it was a great idea. And we both started to travel around and grant wishes. We left our apartment in Montreal and just went down the road. And we were on the road for 6 years or so, granting wishes all over North America. And we granted over $1 million worth of wishes with me dressing up in this blue genie costume character. And we thought it was just going to be a trip from Montreal to Miami, and then we go back and get our real jobs. And it turned into this adventure that continues today. So through that experience of helping other people, I started to find the truest version of who I am, which wasn't the Joshua Dawson. It was more connected to actually the blue genie, funnily enough. And then through the whole process, I started to connect deeper to spiritual teachings and flow states and all the stuff that we're going to talk about that Jason Silva talks about. And we started doing events with people like Dr. Wayne Dyer, Eckhart Tolle, Deepak Chopra, and we used those events to pay for the wish granting and then to produce more inspiring events. So our mission is to inspire other people and to serve others and to serve ourselves. So
that's my mission. That's exactly my mission, and I love that that's yours too. Yes.
Yeah. We both live in Hounslow, so we have a lot in common.
Yeah, we just discovered Joshua actually lived in this random part of England that I was born and raised in, and we just discovered that he lived and worked out there for a couple of years. So it must be just people from Hounslow just doing their part, changing the world, I guess.
Hounslow. There's only people from Hounslow that inspire people.
Must be true. Wow, what an incredible thing. So first of all, I thought it would be really funny if you were to do the live stream with your makeup, your blue genie makeup, because it's pretty spectacular. I'll save a picture of it in here for people to see. But how did that come about? Were you like, right, let me just get this, what is it, rubber? Or because it's
a silicone mask. It's a silicone mask, but it moves with your face. So it looks like it's mostly makeup, and there's some makeup attached with it. And when I came up with the inspiration to become a genie, I didn't want anyone to know that it was me granting the wishes. I wanted to be completely egoless and not really about me. That kind of changed through the years because I felt comfortable, and it was hard to hide who was under the mask because everyone wanted to know. So I basically created this character, and I was reading a book from Seth Godin at the time called The Purple Cow, and the idea in my head was, well, I wanted people to remember this character, and I wanted to take them out of their day-to-day existence. And so I wanted to create like not an Aladdin type genie, but a old school type genie. So I looked up old school genies, and they didn't, always look the prettiest. So
it's a little bit scary.
Yeah, it's a bit scary, and it's definitely a purple cow in a sea of everything else. And I was, the funny part about it, I was kind of, after my father passed, I went on a bit of a downward spiral, and I started drinking a lot more. So when I came up with this idea, I was actually hungover, sitting on a lazy boy in Montreal, thinking about the last Wrangler kind of fun day I had with my dad. And I thought, well, if I couldn't do it with my dad anymore, I could grant wishes for other people. But the actual character itself, it was kind of an expression of where I was at that point in my life. I felt a bit dark, and the genie kind of came out of that. But I still quite relate to that face, because we've tried to change the genie face a couple of times, and it doesn't seem to have any personality. That genie face definitely has some personality.
Yes, I definitely agree. Now, I think I personally feel like we're here just to be of service to each other, and I talk about it all the time, and I know that because it feels amazing when we do things for each other. And so there's a couple of things I want to talk to you about. The transition, like you had this idea and then you just went off and did this incredible thing. Was there a process? Was it difficult? Because I feel like so many people, I think everybody is called to do good and to want to help and to make a difference and to do something. But a lot of the times people feel just helpless, or just, they don't realize what they can do. So What was your journey? Was it just like pack everything up and go? Was it a really easy process? You did it for like 6 months. It's incredible.
Well, I did it for 6 years. But
6 years.
So the first step was we went to, I like doing things in steps. I do one thing at a time. So the first thing was, okay, I need to get the costume. And that's not that hard to get a costume. So I figured out the costume. And then I was like, okay, well, what do I do next? Well, I was going to a wedding in Calgary, and we flew up there, and I had some connections with Breakfast TV, and I figured I'd just grant a wish live on TV, see how that goes. So I did that, and that went great. And then we flew back to Montreal, and I figured we'd just drive to Miami, because we wanted to go to Miami anyways, and I do wish grants all the way down, and that went great. By the time I got to that stage, I had run out of all my money when I got to Miami that I had from, the sale of my last business and my father's inheritance, or the majority of it. And I remember kind of crying on the edge of the bed in Miami, like just so disappointed that I wasn't going to be able to do this anymore. I was going to have to go get a real job. So when that happened, I started thinking, okay, well, how am I going to make money doing it? I need to make money doing this, or else it's not going to work out. So I called up to some car dealerships, and I said, let's do a wish grant at your car dealership. And BMW said yes.
Wow.
So all they gave me was $500. So, and which kind of just basically paid for us, not even really paid for us to do the wish grant. And then that amount of sponsorship kind of went up over the years. And then that was kind of getting old for me, where I didn't want to do it at car dealerships and all that stuff. I wanted to be more about the person. And then we did a wish grant with, we were supposed to do a wish grant with Wayne Dyer, and it got canceled. So I asked him to come to Newfoundland to do an event there. Just kind of, spur of the moment thing. Inspiration came to me to do that. And he said yes to that, which was unusual, but it happened.
So Newfoundland is where you're having one of these speaker events, in-person events. Is that right?
Well, yeah, with the one with Wayne Dyer, that was our first one we ever had, because I'm from St. John's, Newfoundland, which is the most easterly point of North America in Canada.
Got it.
Off the coast of Canada. So, yeah, it was really, it's just one, from my perspective, you do one thing at a time. Like when I wake up in the morning, I have a list of 3 things that I want to do. And I want to start and finish those 3 things. So I think what happens is people get too weighed down by, if I thought, okay, well, I'm going to grant $1 million worth of wishes, and I'm going to connect with all the biggest spiritual speakers in the world, and I'm going to travel all around North America for the next 7 years, I'd be like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm going to get a regular job. That's the way you make work. But, when you do it, when you do 3 things a day, it's not that hard. That's kind of my process. I do 3 things a day, and I try to start and finish those 3 things. And the rest of it will take care of itself. And you look for the moments and the opportunities and the inspirations, and you follow them, and you don't question the inspiration.
Great advice. And I think that's one of the issues that I come up against often, is so many things that it just becomes very overwhelming, and then I shy away from it. So it's little steps by little steps. Can you tell me about some of your most memorable wish grants? And how do you find them? Like, do you just walk up to people and like, what do you wish for? Or like, is there an email?
It's always a surprise. So
Yeah.
sometimes we'll look for the people. Sometimes they'll go to our website and nominate someone. And a lot of times we'll work with other charities and foundations and stuff as well, because we're such a small organization and it's really grassroots. So it's based. So if it comes in and if I get a tingly feeling, if I see a picture of someone or if I see a story and I get a tingly feeling, then usually I'll follow that through. And that goes for everything, not just wish granting. So really that's how we find the people. You search around and there's no lack of people needing to have their wishes granted. I could walk down the street right now and find a person. So that's not the problem. It's just who is the person that's right. It's the right connection for you, for me and him, because it's a dance that we have. So it's always worked out doing it that way. But the most memorable one, even to this day, is the one that I granted a wish in Toronto for a lady that was close to passing with cancer. And you could tell that she only maybe had a couple of months left to live, and she was in a wheelchair. And we were in the convertible car after I surprised her as a genie, and her family was following us behind. And I said, "Do you want the top down?" And she said, "Yeah." I totally want the top down. I want the wind to blow in my hair. And then she said, "You know what is so amazing about what we're doing today is that this moment or this experience is going to last in mine and your hearts and my family's heart forever. It's going to be something that connects us after I pass." So that's what I always try to think about when I'm granting the wishes. I want to create a moment that's going to connect the person with their loved ones and myself after they pass. So I establish a very deep, strong connection with people in 24 hours because that's what we're going for every time.
So is it fair to say that they're more experiences rather than like giving away things?
We do both. We've given away like money at times. We've given away things, but it's mostly experiences. Originally it was called the Experience Genie. So it's all about trying to take people away from their pain. And usually people's pain is associated with the thoughts that they have on the experience that's happening. So if they're not thinking, then the pain starts to dissipate. So I try to take them out of their reality of thinking about how they may or may not die or whatever hardship is happening in their lives. And the genie character is part of that experience, because when you're hanging out with a blue genie walking around the streets, then it doesn't feel, you're not thinking about what's going to happen tomorrow.
That's true.
So that's really what we try to do. We want to bring people back to the moment. And that goes in line with most of my teachings from people like Eckhart Tolle and Deepak Chopra and stuff as well.
People who I really love and admire, and read books from them too. So I love that you have this series of speaker events with wonderful, wonderful people. Tell us a bit about that. So you've got the Jason Silva one coming up.
Yeah, the Jason Silva ones. Usually, we've always worked with people that are in the past, like Eckhart Tolle, Deepak Chopra. So I have a very strong spiritual connection and teachings. I've done a lot of reading of those type of books, but Jason kind of came across my radar. And again, going back to when you get the tinglies, you follow it through. When I saw a video on Jason, he was talking about north of happiness, because you always hear all these people, all these spiritual books and stuff. A lot of times it talks about, how to be happy. Jason did a video talking about, okay, there's a state north of happiness, where it's kind of like, it's above the clouds. It's a place that you can go to. It's your flow state, which is, and he describes it as the acronym STIR. So selflessness, timelessness, effortlessness, and richness. And we all have the ability to enter those states. And I think that that's a very spiritual state as well. So Jason doesn't describe what he's doing as spiritual, but I think, it is quite spiritual and transcendent what Jason does and helps people with. But he has a very technological, futuristic, scientific approach to it, which I like the idea of merging science and spirituality. I think that's what's kind of naturally happening in the world anyways. So this tour is very exciting for me because it is more relatable in a lot of ways to people. So and Jason and I get along great, and I think we're going to have a lot of nice conversations on the tour, and we're going to probably merge those discussions and help people understand how science and spirituality work together a little bit better.
And so is that going to be just discussions you have, or is that going to be discussions during the talk?
No, I think
are you going to be dressed as a genie for the event?
Who knows? I'll talk to Jason about that. Maybe I'll come out as a genie. Sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't. But yeah, maybe we'll do a wish grant at some of the events as well. But I'll come out on the stage usually first, just give a little talk, and then Jason will go on stage, and then we'll do some question and answer. So I'll be on stage for that. So I think that will be the interesting part, where my perspective is a very spirituality focused perspective, and Jason's perspective is more about flow states and transcendence, and he's not professing to know what the answer is, but he's very philosophical, and there's some angst and everything with all that too. So it's going to be an interesting conversation, I think.
I can't wait. I'm going to be there. So I'm going to be at the Vancouver event on the 14th, and Kevin Benavides from Uplifting Content is going to be at the Toronto event. So if there's any Uplifting Content peeps that are going to be in attendance, make sure you come and say hi. We'd love to see you. And I'm very excited to announce that Joshua has kindly donated 4 sets of tickets to these events for our audience. So we're going to have a sign-up link to that in this thing, and we're gonna promote it. So if you can come to one of the events, is it Vancouver, Toronto, what's the place called?
Kelowna, Montreal, and then we also have a live stream, so you can watch it from anywhere.
We have a live stream, and we're giving you $10 off if you use the code UPLIFT. So
that's with Conscious Thought Revolution, and the founder of that, Gordy Ball, will be on stage with us at the Vancouver event as well. So that's going to be great.
Fantastic. I'm super, super pumped, because we've been working with Jason for a while and sharing his videos, and he's just so unusual in a fantastic way with his energy and his ways of expressing and talking and his thoughts. I love it. So it's going to be a really, really
fun. I've never met anyone with that vocabulary in my life. So
I know.
I keep on saying to him, I'm a little jealous. I can't keep up with how amazing the words that come out of his mouth. I'm just kind of transfixed by it all. So it's amazing.
And it's always just so effortless. It's just a stream of really poetic, profound, just words. It's fantastic.
And he's like that, day to day, which is kind of interesting too. It's like, I thought you were just putting that on for the videos, but that's how he is.
No, I love that. You see, I get very passionate about everything, and to the point where people often say to me, why'd you have to get so heated? And it's like, well, if I'm going to talk about something, I kind of, if it's something I care about, at least I want to exude some kind of passion. And so I can't wait to have a conversation with him if we're just sort of chatting about, the drinks or whatever, or the event.
Yeah, totally.
Go in. Well, thank you so very much for the ticket giveaway, for doing what you're doing, for putting on these events. Just hands up to you. It's fantastic.
Yeah, you too. And what you do is amazing, and how much you inspire so many people. It's beautiful. So I'm really happy to be working with you on this, and I can't wait to meet you in person in Vancouver.
Thank you. Me too. Can't wait to see you then.
Bye. Bye,
everyone.